Okay. Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you're having a great day today. And if you'll notice, my voice is a little hoarse. I have been sick. I posted about it. I have vertigo, and it's been happening for like a week, just throughout the day, a couple times a day. I just get super, super dizzy, real weak feeling, kind of shaky. Didn't know what it was. Um, Left work early on Thursday because it's like the whole room was spinning. It was crazy. And I went to go see a doctor. By the time I left work on Thursday, I was diagnosed with like 30 different diseases from my coworkers. But uh, luckily, it's just vertigo due to inner ear issues from congestion and sinuses. And I was apparently a little dehydrated and low on potassium. Um, so they did hydrate me, and they did a couple IV bags of the saline that hydrate you. And they prescribed me Dramamine and for the dizziness and some potassium replacement pills. Anyway, so I made it through the whole day today without getting dizzy. So that's good. Um, I'm off work on Monday today. So I took a day off because yesterday was my birthday. I'm 37 years old. So, thankful to have another year. Anyway, there's a lot that I would like to talk about. I've got so much that I would like to share. But if I did that, I would be on here for like 2 hours if I shared everything. So I just want to take a look at a few things. And the first thing I wanted to look at was I found this on the Daily Wire. And the reason why is because I'm a Texas native. So I thought this could be important for people in Texas. This is by Ryan Severda. Mexican national murders 5 in Texas, manhunt underway. Now I'm not gonna read all of this because there's been an update since this, but a Mexican national is on the run in Texas after allegedly murdering 5 of his neighbors after they asked him to stop shooting his gun because they had a baby that was trying to sleep. Officers were initially called to the scene to respond to a complaint about harassment in Cleveland, Texas, and while en route, they received numerous calls about an active shooter. The suspect had been firing a rifle in his yard before the incident unfolded, officials say. Police have charged Francisco Oropeza, 39, with 5 counts of murder and are actively searching for him. They believe that they have him pinned in a wooded area about a mile away from the crime scene. One of the victims came out of the house and said, "Hey, we have a small baby that's trying to sleep," said San Jacinto County Sheriff Greg Capers. And the man said, "I'll shoot out of my front yard. I do what I want in my own residence." They went back in their house, and we have a video of him walking up their driveway with his AR-15, Capers said. Okay, he'd been drinking alcohol and went on a rampage. He allegedly shot 5 of the victims in the head. Some of the victims' bodies shielded young children who survived and were transported to hospitals. It's horrific. No one should have to look at this scene, the blood, the trauma that went on in that house. Neighbor Vianney Valderas told the Washington Post that she didn't think anything bad was happening when she heard gunshots because it was commonplace. She said, "When I heard those gunshots, I didn't think anything of it because in this neighborhood, everyone has guns. Every weekend you hear gunshots," she said. "People shoot in their backyards after they drink alcohol. Men take out guns at house parties and shoot around." So this is the guy here, 38-year-old Francisco Oropeza. He's a Mexican national, according to San Jacinto County Sheriff. Um, he killed 5 people in Texas, including an 8-year-old boy, and they were currently using drones. But then there was an update that the police lose track of this man. Okay. They said they believed that they had trapped him in a wooded area about a mile away from the scene. However, in the most recent update, Capers said that law enforcement recovered Orpeza's cell phone, which they were likely using to try to track him. Capers said that the search area of the suspect was up to 20 miles and that he could be anywhere now. Local FBI officials said that Oropesa should be considered armed and dangerous and that he is a threat to the community. Um, this was just the same story. The officials named the victims as Sonia Argentina Guzman, 25, Diana Velasquez Alvarado, 21, Julissa Molina Rivera, 31, Jonathan Cansares, 18, and Danielle Enrique Lasso, 8. That's ridiculous. And the fact that they lost him, I, sometimes the incompetence of law enforcement. I've been watching a lot of true crime lately. I found a channel on Facebook, Annie Elise, and 10 to Life is her YouTube channel. And then she has a podcast called Serialistly. And yes, I'm saying that right. It's like serial killer and seriously at the same time. Serialistly. So, watching that and you hear the stories about crimes that happen, murders, and the incompetence of law enforcement and how they handle cases, it's mind boggling that they can be so dumb sometimes. Okay, now I wanted to look at this too because I saw this earlier on Instagram and I thought, really? So everybody knows about Dylan Mulvaney. He claims to be a woman. He's pretending to be a woman, and he's not very good at it, to be honest. I don't know any women that act like he acts. And we have the whole controversy with Bud Light, putting him on the Bud Light. Apparently, there was a bar somewhere that when the customers complained about them uh, doing the Bud Light with his picture on it, I guess, they kicked him out. But now they're begging their customers to come back. And if you don't know, now I don't drink, but there is a beer. It's called Ultra Maga, and or no, Ultra Right. Sorry, it's called Ultra Right beer. And apparently, they're making some good sales on that. Anyway, so this is Brodigan. I love reading Brodigan stuff. So TikTok ingenue Dylan Mulvaney, Joe Biden's favorite internet personality, thinks it should be illegal to call someone by the quote unquote wrong pronouns. By wrong, what Dylan means is the correct pronoun, just not the pronouns Dylan would prefer to be called. No word on if the influencer also wants it illegal to call a fat kid tiny. This clip is making its way around the internet. Allow that there may be missing context because there is a hard cut at the end. Also, while some headlines are saying Dylan wants you or you're arrested, that is unclear. Dylan may only be talking about a significant financial penalty. So that's where it cuts off. But those of us on the right who are critics of Dylan, others like Jeffrey Marsh and LWC 2022 Woman of the Year, Kayla Lemieux, handle pronouns differently. Some of us go with which ones amuse us most at that specific time. Others are strict when it comes to birth pronouns out of a deep rooted respect for biology, science, and reality. That's okay. We don't all have to play our music the same. But when it comes to laws making words illegal just because Dylan's bulges in a knot over media coverage, hard pass. I don't care if you are a he, him, she's, or frog, frog, so. Though whenever I hear someone born a him complaining about being called a he, I think back to Dave Chappelle's Deep in the Heart of Texas. To set the stage, Dave was at a gallery opening. A transgender patron passed out. Dave, out of great concern, asked if he was okay and got pronoun shamed for it. But there was no time for philosophical debate. This was an emergency situation. I said, "Fine, I'm sorry guys. I was just worried because she looks terrible and she just fell off the bench. It appears that her is popping out of her dress. You mind if I call an ambulance, champ?" I would have shared the video if possible. Shockingly, I could not find it on YouTube. So, just the audacity of some of these people and the ridiculousness, and they're deranged and demented, and they think that we have to play this game that they're playing because, you know, really, I don't think we should have ever shut down psychiatric hospitals. Maybe should change the way that patients were treated, but I think we should have kept them open and locked certain people up. That's all I'm saying. Um, Also, we have that Randy Weingarten. If you don't know, she had to do with the closures of schools during COVID. This one, she tries rewriting history of her teachers union thuggery during pandemic, gets destroyed by fact checkers. So leftists are attempting the great backtrack. People like Justin Trudeau, Anthony Fauci, who was awarded a presidential commendation by Donald Trump, and others want you to forget all the freedoms they took away from you, all the mandates, and all the quote unquote public health orders they forced on you that were worse for your health. But few people can choke on a bag of, more than teachers union mob boss Randy Weingarten. The teachers unions colluded with the CDC to keep schools closed. They were busted rewriting the guidelines that kept your kids in masks. Masks, mind you, that Weingarten knew impeded learning. And yesterday at Senate hearing, she attempted to say, nuh-uh. Let's check it out. Okay, so this little thing here, readers added context they thought people might want to know. Weingarten is misrepresenting her prior positions. She called attempts to reopen schools in the fall of 2020 reckless, callous, and cruel. Her union pushed aggressively at the local level. Areas with high union influence remained closed much longer. They continued in 2022. So while union boss Randy was all like, we spent every day from February on trying to get schools open, Twitter's community notes was all like, yeah, right. Um, so during the pandemic, Randy, her union goons, and the Democrat politicians she gives millions and millions of dollars to called attempts to reopen schools in the fall of 2020 reckless, callous, and cruel, pushed aggressively at the local level to keep schools closed. So we just did all this. And while we've discussed it before, this isn't the first time Randy has attempted to gaslight America. To have everything in one place, you should make sure to bookmark these two Twitter threads. Trump wants to reopen schools, hence, it's not just about education. This is from Politico. Trump has ramped up a push to return children to the classroom as he tries to restore the economy for his re-election campaign. Then Jean Pierre uh, blames Trump for schools being closed during COVID and said schools reopening was the work of Democrats in spite of Republicans. Look, Karen Jean Pierre, oh, she's probably the dumbest person in the White House, maybe aside from Biden. Definitely the worst press secretary I've ever seen. It says Trump wants schools to reopen. Americans worry it'll happen too fast. The president is insisting that schools reopen in the fall, but polls show that Americans are gravely concerned about the prospect, setting up the issue as a key question for November. Dems who fought to keep schools closed. So AFT's Weingarten, July 28th, 2021, refusing to commit to reopening schools. Biden's Kate Bedingfield, February 9th, 2021, refusing to commit to reopening schools. Biden's listening to the silence. The left is going to do anything they can to lie, gaslight, and convince you that they aren't to blame for the suffering that went on during the pandemic. And they will do so with the full support of legacy media. Legacy media that while you were struggling to make ends meet and make sure your kids didn't fall behind, never missed a paycheck. There's nothing more important for you as an American to do than to make sure they never get away with this. So, I mean, people on the right were saying at the very beginning that keeping the schools closed after the 2 weeks, what was it, 15 days to slow the curve, that that this school should have been open. I mean, you have kids that probably failed. We know that there's been studies done that small children learning to talk that were forced to wear masks and everybody else wearing masks have, speech issues now, and it really impeded that. And so now you just have a lot of kids that are behind and that are struggling because of it. Okay. Let's see. Minnesota bill might make minor attracted person a sexual orientation. I'm going through this really fast because I think these are a lot of stories that are important, but I want to be able to get to them all as fast as I can. The time has come. They're really doing it. They're really trying to normalize pedophilia. Lord have mercy. The Minnesota legislature is trying to modify the legal definition of quote unquote sexual orientation. The proposed bill modifies existing Minnesota law that designates such sexual orientation as a protected category, which means it is against the law for the state to discriminate based on sexual orientation. One of the authors of the bill is Lee Fink, a transgender representative who was recently named USA Today's Woman of the Year for the state of Minnesota. Fink previously sponsored a bill to make Minnesota a trans refuge state, which would legally protect parents who travel to the state to, quote, affirm their child's gender, end quote, when their own states have outlawed these, quote unquote, medical procedures. So this is the transgender representative in Minnesota. And let's see, what can I find here? Gays against groomers. So I mean, I guess that's nice that it's gays against groomers here. A bill for an act. So relating to human rights, removing certain sections in the Human Rights Act that allow for discrimination. Okay, gender identity, sexual orientation. Okay. And here is that person. Ugh. Okay. They seek to normalize pedophilia as a sexual orientation. So the proposed law first adds a definition for gender identity. Quote, gender identity means a person's inherent sense of being a man, woman, both, or neither. A person's gender identity may or may not correspond to their assigned sex at birth or to their primary or secondary sex characteristics. A person's gender identity is not necessarily visible to others, end quote. That makes no sense. That is like incoherent what I just read. And here's the real kicker. The crossed out sentence at the end is the portion the legislature is currently trying to remove. Quote, sexual orientations means having or being perceived as having an emotional, physical, or sexual attachment to another person without regard to the sex of that person, or having or being perceived as having an orientation for such attachment. Now here's what they're trying to give out. Or having being perceived as having a self-image or identity not traditionally associated with one's biological maleness or femaleness. Sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. So removing this portion would not immediately legalize pedophilia, but it would allow pedophiles to become a protected class with the same legal protections as the alphabet individuals. So this is bad, very bad. Who could possibly have seen it coming? I saw it coming. I mean, they're coming after our kids, and they're trying to sexualize them at 3 years old. And you see that people are allowed to get away with it, don't get in trouble. And speaking of getting away with stuff and not getting in trouble, let me show you this one. Well, let me show you this one. From Blaze Media, 3-year-old girl raped, murdered after her mother allegedly sells her for $12 of crack. So, a horrifying story out of Paraguay suggests that a mother traded her child for about $12 worth of crack cocaine. The little girl was later discovered, raped, and murdered. About a week or so ago, 42-year-old Ariela Salinas of Pedro Juan Caballero, whatever, the capital city of Paraguay, told police that while she slept, her 3-year-old daughter, Luz Madia, had disappeared into the night. Police noted that Salinas appeared to be under the influence and did not seem particularly alarmed by her daughter's absence, but they proceeded with their investigation nonetheless. That investigation quickly turned tragic. On the morning of April 22nd, neighbors discovered the little girl's remains in a nearby abandoned house. She was laying on a bed and covered in a shirt. An autopsy revealed that she had been raped. The events that led to the little girl's death are truly appalling. When confronted, Salinas allegedly admitted to police that she had actually sold her daughter to her boyfriend, a known drug dealer, for 30 pieces of crack cocaine, an amount worth about that in Paraguay money or just 12 US dollars. The boyfriend likewise admitted to killing the girl, police claimed. A third suspect, an unidentified 17-year-old, has also been arrested in connection to the crime. So CCTV footage captured the moment the boyfriend supposedly carried little Luz away from her home, though the video is grainy. Luz can be seen wearing a blue dress that reportedly featured characters from the Disney movie Frozen. Reports indicate that the suspect slapped the girl as she fidgeted in his arms. The footage begins at about the 2:40 mark of the following news report from Brazil. The 2:40 mark? Let's find it. Over here. God. So, after the local community learned about the vicious murder, they gathered together and attempted to lynch Salinas as she was being arrested. Reports estimate that 300 locals attended Liz's funeral, and some of them even avenged Liz in their own way by torching the abandoned home where her corpse was discovered. Neighbors also claim that Salinas, who has 7 other children, has a history of tragedies. A 30-year-old man is currently under investigation after Salinas allegedly allowed him to sexually abuse her 12-year-old daughter. Um, I thought I saw another one about George Soros. Let me go back because I thought I saw one about that and somebody getting away with something because of a George Soros. No, no, dang it. There we go. Let me see if I can find that one. I thought I pulled it up. So, hang on. Yeah, this is the one right here. So, a public masturbator who viciously attacked jogger will not serve jail time thanks to Soros DA, which I thought was pretty interesting because I was talking about people getting away with crimes, and it's because of our DAs that we have that are all backed by George Soros. All of our leftist DAs, like what is it in New York? I think like 57% of felonies have been dropped down to being misdemeanors. Okay, let's talk about this. Snapchat is being sued by a family. This guy said that Snapchat is an open drug market, and families of 60 young people who died of fentanyl overdoses sue social media app. This is by Candace Hathaway. So, Snapchat's parent company, Snap, was recently sued by the families of more than 60 young people who died of fentanyl overdoses. The families initially filed the lawsuit in October and updated the complaint Tuesday, adding the claim that the social media company has become known as a quote unquote open air drug market. Quote, despite Snap promoting and portraying Snapchat as a goofy app for kids to use and send each other silly pictures, its known common use is as an open air drug market, the families wrote in their expanded suit. The updated lawsuit claimed that Snapchat's algorithm and disappearing messages helped to connect youth with drug dealers. According to the victims' families, the social media platforms has become the go-to means to distribute drugs to children, teens, and young adults. The suit accused Snapchat of being, quote, involved in a far greater number of fentanyl poisoning deaths of U.S. teens than other social media apps. Snap and Snapchat's role in illicit drug sales to teens was the foreseeable result of the designs, structures, and policies Snap chose to implement to increase its revenues, the lawsuit stated. The families allege that drug dealers are abusing Snapchat's automatically deleted messages. In addition, they claim the feature is marketed to individuals engaging in illegal activities. Quote, a motivation for Snapchat's disappearing feature, not just disappearing between users, but permanently destroyed on the back end as well, was to provide cover for those engaged in illicit and illegal conduct, end quote, the amending filing stated. The lawsuit also claimed that Snapchat enables drug dealers by notifying them if they receive legal requests regarding their accounts. Quote, first, Snap notifies drug dealers when they receive a subpoena or other legal requests for their account information, giving them time to alter their action. Second, in some instances, Snap takes months to respond to requests for account information, resulting in material evidence being inaccessible due to Snap's automatic deletion design, end quote. Sam Chapman, whose son unexpectedly passed away in 2021 from fentanyl poisoning, told KTTV that the platform's algorithm and geolocator are quote unquote highly dangerous features that allow sex traffickers and drug dealers to see where children are located. Chapman stated that he and the other victims' families are calling for Snap to change the social media platform's algorithm and enable child monitoring software. Snap told KTTV that the family's lawsuit is riddled with false claims. Quote, while we don't typically comment on active litigation, unfortunately, this amended filing is riddled with false claims about how the Snapchat app works. Our ongoing efforts to aggressively combat drug activity on our platform and shut down drug dealers and our team member statements. We remain deeply committed to doing our part to fight this urgent crisis. And all of those are coming from over the border from Mexico. China brings the fentanyl over into Mexico and then they bring it over the border. Did you know there's a bunch of kids, migrant children that came across the border that went missing? Okay. I also wanted to get to this one because the Nashville shooter at that Christian school, they are reviewing that girl's writings and thinking about releasing them. The writings of the person who perpetrated a shooting at a Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee last month are under review for public release. Metro Nashville Police Department's Public Information Office noted, quote, the investigation has advanced to the point that writings from the Covenant shooter are now being reviewed for public release. That process is underway and will take a little time. We know that she was 28 years old. It says the Covenant shootings was a tragedy beyond comprehension, and Tennesseans need clarity. We've been in touch with the Nashville Police Department, and today, Chief Drake assured me that documents and information regarding the shooter will be released to the public very soon. That's Tennessee Governor Bill Lee. And you know what? I think we have a right to see those writings. As citizens who, especially in Tennessee and people at Covenant, they have a right to see what those writings are, considering they were the targeted attack. MNPD reported in early April that the investigation indicated the shooter had, quote, fired a total of 152 rounds, 126 5.56 rifle rounds, and 26 9mm rounds from the time she shot her way into the school until she was killed by police. MNPD also noted in that early April press release that the shooter had, quote, documented in journals her planning over a period of months to commit mass murder at the Covenant school, end quote, but that the individual's motive had not been determined. It says, quote, the writings remain under careful review by the MNPD and the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit based in Quantico, Virginia, the release stated. Quote, under investigations by the Homicide Unit in consultation with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit, and that it was known that the perpetrator had considered the actions of other mass murderers. But, I mean, I think we have a right to know about it. I truly do. And, we should be able to see that information. Absolutely. Um, I don't know if anybody watches The Good Doctor, but I happened to see this article. Now, Freddie Highmore, he plays the Good Doctor. He's the autistic doctor, and I love Freddie Highmore. I think he's a great actor. I absolutely loved him in what is it, Bates Motel, the series that they did about him when he was younger. Such a good show. He plays a really great weirdo. But they pointed this out that the TV show tries to use autistic character to highlight transphobia, accidentally makes him uber based. So please enjoy this hilarious clip of a hit TV show accidentally making an autistic character extremely based. Oh, okay. I gotta show my dad this clip. Oh, this is great. Oh, it's great. Um, so I'm not gonna read this because it basically just tells us what that clip says, but I think that is absolutely great. Speaking of transgender, let's look at this one really quick. I have a little bit more time. I've been clocking it. So let's take a look at this is a video. It's a transgender beating up a student at school. He was beating the crap out of a girl. So exhibit Q on why letting people have their own pronouns based on feelings and not facts gets confusing. There was a fight about a human with male parts using the girl's bathroom at a high school in California. Riverside. One news outlet refers to the individual as a male, the other respects her chosen gender identity. Here are the two combatants. See if you can guess who is a girl and we're not sure is a boy. We have two angles for you to view the incident. Shout out is we have two angles for you to view the incident. Shout out to kids for remembering to do it for the content. Camera one. So, he assaulted a girl after exposing his male parts and spitting at the girls in the girls' locker room, and that's when the fight ensued. Camera two. This is another documented fight by the trans boy against girls. You see a boy steps forward to stop the assault on the girls. How is this happening? Activist agendas have made K through 12 schools killing fields. Man. Okay, let's see what this is. Says Cody Garrison. Yeah, I know he spits on their faces in the locker rooms. He knocked out one girl in the locker room. I know a bunch of kids that won't go to the restroom because it's not safe in the bathrooms and they're getting medical conditions like UTIs and different things. It is so devastating and so sad, and I don't understand. The kids from King were over at the shopping center, and I know the dentist there, and one of them hit her with their skateboard. And the police said that there was nothing they can do because they're children. Literally, they hit the dentist with the skateboard. I'm sorry, there's nothing you can do. I've already spoke with the school about this as my daughter has to dress out in front of the student and feels extremely uncomfortable. He was moved into her class less than a month ago. Since the school has done nothing to accommodate my daughter's concerns on this, I told her if she feels uncomfortable to not dress out. I told the school that I also don't want that affecting my daughter's grade in PE. Apparently, the kid is protected under California law, so the school's hands are tied in regards to locker room issues. The fights, though, wasn't like after 3 fights you were expelled. Has that changed? The policy says that if the girls are uncomfortable, that they have to use the private single stall. If all the girls waited in line for single stalls and protest, it would send a message. I don't think it would. I will definitely be there. Everyone commenting or concerned should voice their opinions and show support for our kids. It is sickening to think that nothing is getting done, and it isn't until someone ends up severely injured or dies. I get it. There are issues at other schools, and yes, it happened when we went to school, but we are in different generation and we need to protect our babies. Okay, wait a minute. It happened in their schools? I was in high school in the early 2000s. 2001, graduated in 2005. I don't ever remember anything like this happening in school. Yes, I'm sure there were fights, but like this, absolutely not. I don't recall it being like that. Now, maybe it's because I'm in Texas and they're in California and it's a different culture, it's a different life. I don't know. It's the same, with the I have still never met a transgender person in real life. And I'm like, so really, how many do actually exist? And are they all on the internet? Because that's the only place I've ever seen them. Not only have there been fights, locker room issues, drugs, but I have seen the same high school couple having sex in the parking lot multiple times. I notified the school, but obviously nothing has been done. What are you supposed to do about that? Homeschool your kids. Teens are going to do certain things, but my problem is it's during pickup when my younger kids are with me. How do I explain that to a 9 and 10-year-old? You don't. You homeschool them. That's what you do. I think that's it on that. So, according to Fox 11, that is a transgender girl beating up a girl, a worst kind of transgender individual, too. One with erratic and uncomfortable behavioral issues. Okay, in olden times, a guy flashing his junk to a girl was inappropriate. In 2023, if that guy identifies as a girl, it's considered equity and tolerance. But does he identify as a girl? A report on KTLA referred to she, her using he, him pronouns and only reported some student unrest near the end of the lunch break. One report considers this fight a classic example of girls being girls. Another report claims it was a boy beating the crap out of a much smaller girl. Your guess is as good as mine. Spoiler, I know that you know that I know that you know. Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. This is definitely why you should homeschool your kids if you can. And I understand that there are people who cannot homeschool their kids. I get it. But you can put them in a private school, find a good Christian school, get them in something better. I know Texas is looking to be passing some stuff in legislation about basically like school choice vouchers. Where a student will be given so much money. I think it's like $8,000 or something like that to go to like a private school or something like that and get out of the public school. So the taxes that would be covering them at public school would then be moving to put them in a private school. So I mean, there's some things going on with being able to get kids in better schools, even in Texas. Um, Oh, and I also heard that Governor Abbott in the Senate finally passed a bill to prevent um, Chinese citizens from buying our farmland. I was wondering when that was going to take place. Anyway, I can't believe I got all that covered. It's been 40 minutes, so I should probably end it. Um, I know no one's going to want to sit and watch all of this if I keep doing that. Anyway, so thank you for being with me. I really miss doing the podcast, and I really need to get better at just doing it every week. It's just so hard for me to find time to do it, and especially because we only have the one computer, we only have the one space to do it in, and you had to wait until you're alone and can do it. So I really need to start finding that and making time for it. I'm not always going to do a 40-minute podcast. I do try to keep them at about 20-25 minutes, but because I haven't done one, I just had so much to talk about. And I appreciate all the support on my last video that I put up on Rumble. It got like 119 views, which is the most that I've gotten on Rumble so far, because I'm still just starting out with the Rumble. I don't have as many on there as I do on YouTube. So if you would, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, go to Rumble and subscribe there, because something may get taken off of YouTube. I may get banned for a week. Who knows? But I'm not going to play their game. So I'll just say what I want to say. And if I get kicked off YouTube, I get kicked off YouTube. I don't care. I'll just stick with Rumble. So please do that. You can go to my Instagram. You can go to my Twitter. Follow me there. I'm pretty active on Twitter. Anyway, thank you for joining me. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. And God bless.